Hi, Maria Elena.
Hello.
I'm really excited to kind of talk with you today about humanness. This is, I think, our second to last sort of interview that we're doing with all of our clinicians, and um, sort of the first question that we lead off with this series is, what does humanness mean to you?
Great question. What does humanness mean to me is where I feel the most grounded, where I feel the most connected to myself, or to, obviously in this case, food, and those around me. So for me, humanness is just a sense of calmness in myself. So.
And how does you mentioned food and sort of your connection with food as this space of feeling grounded and feeling connected. Um, And it's so interesting because that's such like a primal thing. It's like it's one of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's the basic, you know. And on one hand, it's a survival, but it can also be a way to connect socially. I mean, it's a big, a lot of activities that we have are based around food, and I'm just wondering for you, perhaps like how food, how that is the mechanism to which you find your humanness.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it food for you?
Food for me is a place in which I can just be in my five senses. I
Mm.
can look at this dish. I can smell it. I can see the smile of the person bringing it to me, and just talking about the ingredients, it takes me to a place. It either takes me to my childhood, or it takes me to a place in my adulthood where I'm maybe like going to a new restaurant and trying this new dish, and we're both discovering this new dish together. So it's like a sense of just being connected to either my past or just in this present moment, and both of us are just enjoying this and talking about it, talking about the ingredients, and if anything feels familiar or totally not familiar to you. um, that's the connection part for me. The connection with the other person that's sitting with me, or a group of friends, and we're just really like connecting, enjoying in this present moment this food, and it's doing something, and just connecting to your emotions and your warmth in your body, or a sense of coolness when you're eating something like sushi. So that's a little bit about my process with food.
I can see you light up when you talk about it. Like even as you describe it, you are completely going into the memory of, and that's it's. I mean, it radiates off of you. I was also thinking as you were talking, it sounds very much like a mindful meditation practice. Like it using all of your five senses, being in the moment. If there is somebody with you, connecting with them in that moment, it just sounds like a really real world, practical way that you can be mindful and present. And yeah, I hadn't really thought about it in the context of food, but it's. I'm just sort of like, oh, light bulb moment a little bit right there. Um, let's see. Um, well, okay, so food being an extension, a place of presence and grounding for you, um, I can totally see how that applies, sort of perhaps in your everyday life on a personal level. What about how does that show up for you um, as as your work as a therapist?
Well, as my work as a therapist, I feel that it really helps me be in the moment. And so when I'm with clients, I try to calm myself down in the process of looking at all of these different processes that the client is going through. So it reminds me to calm down and go piece by piece, ingredient by ingredient with a client. Um, and also I use it outside, obviously, of therapy. For me, it's like my self care is actually like making an intention to go out with someone, or maybe by myself, and try a new food, just to get me in the state of just acknowledging what's in front of me, instead of just always being in my head and trying to process client work. It's really a place for me to like calm myself down and just enjoy my surroundings, the person serving me, this dish. So I feel like it helps me to be more grounded and just more mindful of what's in front of me. May it be a client or may it be an amazing dish. So that's a little bit of my process.
I mean, this is a little off the sheet, perhaps, but I'm just really curious. Sort of thinking about like what's a really great food or meal that you recently had that's like that like blew your mind because it reminded you of something or it was completely new and exciting. Like I should have eaten before this interview.
Well, a dish that actually took me back, or a restaurant that took me back to my roots, which is Salvador and Colombia, was an actual Mexican restaurant here in Highland Park, where I was with a colleague and we had plantains, black beans, nice queso fresco. We had some fresh avocado, and just the way it was plated was so beautiful. And to me, it was very simple. It was very humble because that's the type of food I would have in El Salvador. So it took me back, and what was really nice is eating with this coworker. I was just able to go back with her and just tell her a little bit about myself, tell her a little bit about my culture. Though I was in a Mexican restaurant, all of these ingredients and, the spices and how it was plated was so home-based that it was just like a great way to start my day. So,
I mean, I was thinking that sounds like kind of an analogy, right? You're in a Mexican restaurant but then there are these familiar flavors. It's almost as if like sometimes I can find myself in front of a client and I don't share their cultural background or I don't have parallel experiences to them, but there is always this sort of ingredient or this flavor of I see you, like I understand. And yeah, I was just anyway, that was a little off the cuff, but yeah, I don't know, it's really lovely to hear how food is this one connecting thing, how your culture, how you bring that into your work with clients, how that helps you stay grounded, how it keeps you full and so that you are able to be that for the clients that you have. So it's just really awesome. I would have never thought food, but I totally see it now.
Yeah, and that's why we should have a date and have
we need to. I know
a lovely dinner, and we can really like enjoy and dive in and be mindful and just like engage in a different place in ourselves.
I love it. Well, it was lovely to interview you and kind of hear, and I'm definitely going to go have food now. But yeah, thank you, Maria Elena. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.